find that in the packet?
Well, this one goes back to 22.
Yeah,
There
that
you
one.
go, that's,
Yeah.
It's 5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock here. So I guess we shall open the meeting. I still only have one board member, right, Frank?
yes, you do.
Okay.
We're gonna rectify that tonight.
Okay. Do you have any additions to the agenda?
No.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public comment?
Okay, I'll just give a refresher of what I said at the last board meeting, and lucky you get to hear part of it. I think that charging a minimum of 8,000 gallons of water is an unfair way of billing for the water and sewer. Those who do not use that much have to pay the extra up to the 8,000 gallons, while those who use more than 8,000 gallons do not have to pay extra above what they pay for their water. Doesn't seem fair to me. Since the water fund is in the red, I have a couple suggestions that might help solve the issue. Number one, charge more per 1,000 gallons and then bill everyone just for their usage. A second thing could be to add a service fee for each household, business, whatever, whoever gets billed now could get a bill for a service fee, whatever it wants to be called. We now get one for debt reduction. Everybody gets it. We could get one for the water and everybody could get it. And then again, you would bill just for the water usage. A combination of these could also work, which I think would be a fairer way. I am willing to work with the committee if you are willing to consider these or other options. I think the garbage contract comes due next year, but I would also encourage you to see about the use of stickers for garbage collection, or at least a company that offers different size totes for different costs. Thank you.
Thank you. Review / approval of the Infrastructure and Finance Committee meeting minutes.
Yeah, I approve. Or motion to approve.
Second that motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. You just want to read through it?
Yeah. I mean, what are we bringing up right now? Is it this one or is it?
It'll be discussion review of utility rates
Okay.
first. Alright. So, you're welcome to tell me your thoughts. My thinking is, we need to do something, so we put together some kind of formal proposal at the next finance committee meeting. But if you're kind of on the same page as me, then.
Well, I'm on the same page, but as she mentioned, if you start paying for what water you're using, because personally, I just replaced my, water softener. I got a digital one. I never knew how much water I use, okay? And it actually ticks and tells me how much water I use. Well, for a household of 2 people, we're using on average less than 500 gallons per week. Okay, so you span that out, and I don't think we come close to 8,000 gallons if we were actually had to pay for water. So if we do something where we're actually charging people for the actual use of the water, how is that gonna improve the situation? Because all that's gonna go down.
So,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah, my thinking is, and I looked over what our expenses are for the water system. The vast majority of them are infrastructure expenses, they're not marginal expenses.
Okay, so
So if everybody dropped to 0, our expenses wouldn't change that much. They would go down by something like 30%.
okay,
So my proposal would be, instead of having the minimum, instead of charging X numbers, but you have to have this much minimum, which I think the goal of that is the fact that we've got to pay for the infrastructure one way or the other. If you use 1 gallon of water, we're still paying for the infrastructure.
right, it's a constant.
Yeah, it's a constant. 70% of our costs thereabouts are constant, fixed. It would make more sense if we did just have an infrastructure charge that basically approximated what our infrastructure costs are over the long term. We charge that to people, and then we reduce the actual water rate, because our marginal costs aren't as high. Either way, the amount of money that we're collecting has to go up, because the water fund's very, very insolvent. I think we're in danger right now. If something does go wrong, we're just screwed. Like, we can't even afford to pay for it. So we have to do something, and the amount of money that's coming into the water fund has to go up. And I just think that this is probably its more fair way to do it, where people are actually being billed for the village's costs, more or less.
So what kind of an increase are we looking at then?
Yeah, a big one.
No, I mean, I assume we're not gonna hit them all at once.
We're not gonna hit them all at once. I don't know, I don't have a number in my mind exactly, but over a number of years, we're gonna have to do scheduled increases every year, in order to get to where we need to be, in order to have the water fund be solvent, in order to be able to actually reinvest in anything at all.
Right.
So, I don't know exactly what that is, 7% a year for 10 years or something like that, but we're like, the amount of revenue we need is about 85% short of where it needs to be. So it needs to go up 85%. So over the long run, water rates gotta go up. It's just a matter of how exactly to do it.
Right.
And I did look at, like, what can we do to cut expenses, and I think the fact is our water system is actually pretty efficient. We're only spending $139,000 on, like, operational expenses, which still exceeds the amount of revenue. But that's pretty good, because it's like $60,000 in salaries, and then, the rest is just in chemicals and repairs, and we're doing like bare bones repairs. So, I think that's where we're at. So, yeah, I guess if you're kind of on the same page, we'll put
Yeah,
together.
we'll have to come up with some figures that's
Yeah,
not gonna shock everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already had, what, 10% per year for the last 3 years increase? Is that
is
right?
that right?
That's right.
That's right, yeah.
So,
Kelly, and I think you want to think, we are gonna have some major money going into the water system at some point in time.
Yeah, that's the other thing. is
The
right
tank's
now-
gonna have to be cleaned and I don't think it'll have to be painted, but it's gonna have to be cleaned.
we're talking about the water tower?
The water tower, yeah.
Yeah.
It's beginning to get pretty moldy on the bottom side again. And that doesn't just mean you're gonna paint it, you're gonna have to touch it up here and there, and then probably while you're doing that, you need to go on the inside and make sure there's no problems there. So that's would probably be a big expense within the next, I don't know, 3 years.
Right. And it's something that we just cannot do right now because we don't have the money.
That's,
We just had a drain though, didn't we?
we
We just had a drain.
We had a drain, should took all the rust out of it, yeah. We've just done some, what I would call major repairs on the old wall, number 5 down here. And we're very fortunate that the public works guys could do the repairs. We put a big pipe in there. You know, it was quite a project, so there's always gonna be, I think, repairs like that. So we've been fortunate, or maybe not fortunate, that we haven't had those expenses the last few years. Maybe if we'd had some of the expenses, they wouldn't be as high as what they are. I think we really have been lacking on the water department for maintenance.
Yeah, and right now, just our operational revenue is lower than our operational expenditure. So there is no room for reinvesting anything into the water system. So, you know, we can't afford to do the water tower thing that you said. We can't afford to do any upgrades to the pipes in the line eye. You know, all these things, like there's some state mandated stuff that we need to do over the next however many years. We can't afford to do that. So, you know, I think there's just no way of getting around it. Like we have to collect more revenue, a pretty substantial amount more revenue. Ideally, this would have, you know, best time to do something is yesterday, but next best time is now.
I don't know if in your packet, we have a chart of the water rates in Illinois per se, smaller municipalities like us, and we're not up to the top of them by any means. We're not at the bottom. We're somewhere in the middle.
We're gonna be cheaper than Lee.
That's definite, yeah. So,
Yeah, and I was telling you the other day that I thought like Paw Paw and a lot of these other communities, I think they're also undercharging. They are not collecting the amount of money they need to in order to keep the water system going over the long term. So I think a lot of these communities are just gonna hit a wall where suddenly they're gonna have to jack up rates an enormous amount because they're just not gonna have the money.
I think Papa's doing yearly increases. They just did a huge increase a couple years ago to get back on track.
Do you know what the increase was? I'm curious.
Well, I think they went from less than $10 to the over $20.
Yeah.
It was very big.
Yeah,
People were not happy.
I can imagine.
and quite honestly, what you showed me, that's what you were looking at was as doubling the rate at some point in time, maybe not tomorrow, but if you did it over 10 years or 7 years, you'd be doubling
I think the fact
today's
is,
rate.
as soon as we have a big expense, it's going to be like we are going to be forced to double the rate, and everybody's going to hate that. So it's either we do that, we just kick the can until we run out of road, and I think we're pretty close to running out of road, or we start scheduling increases so that we can catch back up. I I think those are our two options, and I think the second one is better than the first one.
I think the idea of a monthly service charge has merit. I think a good thing to look into, but, and you've said it, we need to get the revenue above where it's at right now.
So, I think Richard and I are on the same page, so, I think we'll get that together and have something for the next meeting next month.
Okay.
So we wanna move on?
Yep.
Appropriations and budget fiscal year 27.
This is related.
So I gave you, that's my draft budget.
Alright,
So if you have any notes on that, or you think I made any errors in it, then let me know.
so we have to have this done by the next meeting, basically, correct?
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause you know this wasn't supposed to happen until the 25th, so.
I understand.
Not that I
He
remember.
told me the 25th, and then
Then you,
when I talked to Jen, I told Jen the 19th.
that dyslexia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have it done. I looked it over, nothing really stood out.
Okay. I think the goal of the budget is unlike the appropriation, where it's the appropriation is how much money can we get away with spending. The budget is gonna be how much money, what is the minimum amount of money that we
That
can
we
get
can
away
get
with?
by with,
Yeah,
yeah, I didn't.
The budget number is what we need to shoot for.
Right,
right.
I think in the past, the board has looked at that appropriation number and said, well, that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, they thought we had a lot of room.
Yeah,
but
they
didn't have a lot of
it
room.
was a slush fund, basically, yeah. Yeah, we'll have it done.
So, I made a copy for Mark whenever he gets here.
Okay, and
Um,
I was gonna mention that in the meeting that I had talked to you per our ordinance. I'd like to put Mark Stanley on the finance committee. I talked to you about it.
Yeah.
And I talked to him about it and he's okay, but just say in the meeting that that's, you know, if that's okay with you, that's great, so.
Okay. Also, Jen, I'm gonna send you I have the digital copy I'm gonna send you.
Okay,
So, yeah, you can feel free to look it over and give me any notes, if there's anything that,
for the budget.
yeah.
And then the appropriation handout, my rough draft of appropriations from today, I'll get payroll figured out early next week. That is based off of this fiscal year's expenses. And I've estimated in, like for electrical and stuff, what it probably is gonna be for the month of October.
When did our pay raises go into effect?
The last pay raises were done last July.
Okay. So that's gonna be mostly reflected in this fiscal year, then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a question, it was part of the meeting that I left, I didn't see, but I was reading through the minutes. I don't know if that's something we need to bring up at the regular meeting or this meeting,
For what?
something about a shortfall in retirement payment?
That was on the previous meeting and
Right,
the payment's been made.
We had to make that payment.
yeah, I was just wondering.
That was based on the fact you had an employee for 30-some years, and the last few years of wage increases at 5%
Mhm,
exceeded the 2.6
that we had expected, or
that
that worked in.
the state IMRF requires you don't exceed, or if you do exceed, you have to make a payment difference.
So is that gonna be a recurring issue, or is that just the one time?
Not unless you have somebody that is going to be long-term and, what's the word?
There'll be
They
a lot
meet the
younger
10 years
nurses.
you're required to have vested in
Vested.
IMRF.
Okay,
So right now, you don't have a long-term employee that's probably gonna meet 10
so
years.
this is Buddy that we ran into the problem with?
That's funny, yeah.
Okay.
But it's something to keep in mind when and if increases are looked at, is the increase going to exceed the 2.6 CPI? CPU.
CPI index. And that's something you wanna look at too in your budgeting. Or are we going anywhere with employee raises this year?
Yeah, when I did the budget, I did not factor in that we're giving employees raises. But I did factor in, to some extent, the previous raises not having been factored in. So the amount of money that we have budgeted for this fiscal year is higher than last for payroll.
I think we have people that deserve raises. I hope we can afford it. Well, we've got a new public works employee and one that's been here a couple of years. And of course, the village clerk, and they did get a substantial raise when we looked at all of it together. When was that raise? That was July maybe?
It's on the agenda to talk about
But we need to
in the
look into it.
executive session tonight.
Okay.
It's a board decision, it's just every year annually in March.
Yeah,
Wages
because
are
I
big.
noticed we're gonna be talking about the committees too and all that, right?
We are.
Yeah.
And there was things like the fringes over the last few years had a very large amount appropriated for them. And that was because of our 32-year employee who was banking sick time. Cause then it's used as service time when you retire. So you have to have 10 years in to use sick time as service time. So you had to appropriate in the event he got sick and started spending his sick time. So you had to appropriate a lot of money. And so that number is gonna go way down this year.
Okay.
Nobody has almost 2,000 sick hours.
Good.
Yeah.
So that's where I said I gotta really look at the payroll stuff yet, because numbers are coming in quite under what was forecasted with appropriations for fiscal year 26.
Good.
Because I didn't do the salary forecasts that we're currently under for the 26.
Can I ask that when we look at something that says fringes, can we get a little better explanation for that than fringes?
It's IMRF and your federal and state tax payments.
Can that be put on the sheet so when we look at it as fringes, it's
And because your vacation time's figured into your salary, because if you're using vacation time, it's part of your part of your 40-hour work week.
this so it states what it is other than fringes. It sounds like we're buying somebody a wig or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
If it says IMRF and whatever, I would rather see it that way.
And for the record, Richard, we, as far as I can tell, are currently running a surplus in the general fund. It's not a big one, but it is a surplus. And the budget that I'm proposing would have us be running a surplus for next fiscal year too.
And as it stands now, the general fund has to be a fallback for the water fund that's insolvent.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know if we need to bring this up at the regular meeting, but I was wondering, why is there such a fluctuation when it comes to water and sewer usage over the years?
Are you talking about revenue?
Yeah, sales.
Bill, do you wanna talk about water sales?
Water sales is not utility bills.
Oh, it's not?
Water sales is contractor buying water, swimming pool fills, miscellaneous water sales. There is no utility billing in water and sewer that shows up under revenues form.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
95 to 93 to 103 to 121 to 98.
Yeah.
I mean, go from 23,000, then
So can we get those numbers, Jen?
Yeah, they're in the packet. There's a sheet page that's got,
In the finance packet?
Mhm.
Okay.
it would be the quarterly report. It looks like this. Page 6 in the packet. And I assume you were looking at it when you're looking at utility rates. That's where the revenues are
This
shown
one?
every quarter
Okay.
for water, sewer, garbage. Because meter maintenance doesn't show up on revenues for water. So when I realized that after I started doing utility billing, I started doing the spreadsheet.
And one thing maybe you need to look at in your discussion of water rates would be water rate for the out of corporate, for the rates that we do, the pool fills and whatever else we sell water to. We sold water at an out of corporate rate to the high school to water the new ball diamond. We've got,
Yeah, I noticed
A
we have
large
two separate
one-
rates for in-town and out-of-town. And that's presumably what that's talking about?
that is, we need to look at those and see if that's where we wanna stay, because we've got a large industrial customer
Yeah,
that uses the water to spray with. And then we've also got a much larger commercial customer, being the state park, using water. So what do we wanna do with those rates?
right, okay.
And then I guess to Jan's point, if we had a service fee, where do we wanna go with the out of corporate service fee? Cause it should certainly be higher than the in corporate service fee.
I agree.
And the out-of-town water rates also used when contractors purchase water. Which are
There's a mistake.
MetroNet
There's a
did
mis-
twice.
Did we make that mistake when we billed MetroNet for the water that they spilled? Did we bill them did we? Okay.
Mhm.
Frank, I've got a question, just, the thought that popped up. The fire department obviously uses a lot of water, or has water available. Is that somehow connected into our payments or money, or do they get it for free, or what?
They get it for free. Maybe something we wanna look at.
Fire
The-
department fees,
Cause they got a tax,
One time.
one regular utility bill a year, that's it.
yeah, they got a tax rate too, right?
They do, and they've got a new tax rate.
But part of that tax rate maybe should go toward the water
And, yeah,
and help lower our bills.
I think you're probably right, but and I gotta look, but I think we're required to supply water for in-town fire protection.
Supply but not pay for.
I don't know, because I know other municipalities, I don't know any that charge for the water, but then they charge something goofy like fire hydrant rent. Maybe you guys need to look at that.
I think they do. Would you look at that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any water that's
That's for an idea.
used out of town in their fire
Popped in
district,
my head.
maybe we should be looking at. And especially when they haul water to Lee or to Waterman or someplace. I think now is the time, because we are running a deficit in the fund.
Well, that may help balance the ledger, I don't know.
It could, yeah.
fire department would use a lot of water,
Uh,
depending on where they're fighting.
Yeah, when they're out playing their games or having,
Well, yeah.
not games, but practices.
Practice.
And washing cars.
Yeah.
So on the draft appropriations I did, One thing I did leave off is on the second page, village streets, roads and bridges. We're gonna need to appropriate, even though we should get reimbursed, or it should, for the Cherokee Street repairs.
Okay.
Cause we're gonna, it's gonna go, we might have money come into us, but it's gonna go out of our accounts most likely.
And we've got that, what, at 82,000 for repairs?
Yeah,
was-
I'd appropriate 100,000
There-
just to be safe.
Estimate. And we don't know if they'll find something else. That's just,
And if it
Is this-
starts before this has to be done, we can adjust.
just at this point in time, that's an estimate.
Well, yeah, but you have a contingency of 10% already built into that number.
Yes,
But you're saying that's not enough, we wanna go to 100?
we don't,
If
we
they
don't
run
know.
into something when they open up,
Yeah,
it doesn't mean we're spending 100, but,
right.
and if it starts before appropriations are finalized and voted on, it can be adjusted down the
Then I'll
road.
make full-size tables anymore.
Because once they rip up the street, they'll know if there's something bigger
Josh
going
wants
on
some space,
underneath.
he's sitting over there in the audience. It's just the way it's gonna be, I guess.
And how is it, since we pay them per project, I assume we're not having to pay the engineering cost, are we?
It'll be part of
It's-
the reimbursement.
It's been said by Metro Cable that they're gonna pay all of our expenses. And that will be engineering and attorney fees also.
Yeah, cause that's not listed here.
That's just for the street repair. That's not for
Project.
anything else we've got.
Right.
We've already billed them somewhere around $13,000, and they have paid it. And that money did go into the water fund.
Why do our meter maintenance charges fluctuate so much?
What do you mean, they're $6.36 a quarter?
On this sheet, it has meter maintenance, Q1 2400, Q2 860.
Oh, on the dollar amounts?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the answer you were looking for.
I will try to see if I can figure it out.
Okay. Because they should be about the same.
That should be a static number.
Is it $6 for every bill?
$6.36 for every bill that has water on it.
Okay.
Is that including everything that's paid, so would there be a breakup if people didn't pay in time? It wouldn't be on there?
Now, if they don't pay in time, they're still paying that.
I get it, but if the bill's not paid, it wouldn't be added on that paper, right?
Right.
No,
I
the
understand.
penalty charges are
Huh?
separate. Penalty charges are separate. So it could be, meter maintenance should still reflect the charge being paid, even if it's a penalty bill.
No.
He's
that's
looking
my
at
point.
if the payment goes from one quarter to another. Right?
Yes, is what I'm looking.
Then
at.
yes, you will have a
So
fluctuation.
then that's where your
And-
numbers may fluctuate from?
Yep, but it shouldn't be that huge,
Yeah.
cause I think I have less than 10 people that aren't paid by the end of the current quarter. Or 5 people now. I've been working on that. So I got rid of over 15 people within the first 3 quarters I did utility billing that were paying late. Without any, I've got 4 more I'm trying to get caught up so that they're not behind.
Josh, do you have a pen on you? Can I borrow the whole meeting? Thank you.
But I'll look into the meter maintenance charge thing too.
And we may wanna look at that too, because the cost of the maintenance on those radios and new radios is going up too. Nothing's going down.
I don't know why.
Gas prices.
It is on the spreadsheet that looks like this. The meter maintenance charges
Yeah, no, I'm looking at them.
that it
Penalties
takes
look like they're,
60 quarters to pay off of water meter.
I mean, the penalties are fluctuate between 700 to 1,000. Actually, 1,500.
So we own the water meter? The homeowner owns the water, owns.
No, the village still owns the meter, the homeowner pays for it though.
Oh,
Who pays for it over time?
Original meter that was installed, I do not believe the owner at that time was charged for, but replacement meters, the owner's charged for. And it's in our ordinance that they're owned by the village, and Public Works should be the only one servicing them and replacing them.
so after they're paid off, does the charges go away?
No, because the charges are permanent, because the meter, life of a meter is an average of 15 years. So 60 quarters is our 15 years, and it pays for the new meter.
Okay. I mean, we better buy better meters, ones that are made in the US.
It includes the meter and the radio in the cost too.
Are the meter and radio in one, or
Separate.
so that way if one goes bad or the other, we can just replace them?
So if they replace a meter now, in which they've done probably about a couple dozen of them this year already, due to age and irregular reading, most of them have had the radios reused. There's a few that had meters that didn't have radios, and we're still putting radios on meters that don't have them. We're getting closer.
Who let the dogs out?
Telemarketer at that.
Need to move to adjourn?
You have anything else?
No.
Anything else you wanna bring up, Frank?
No,
All
how
right.
about you?
Nope, that's all we got for now.
Did you guys have any questions on our potential, what we're gonna owe for the ITEP grant with final billing that we do not know when we're gonna receive? Right now,
There is a
there's
gift that keeps
two
on
pay
giving.
estimates that are out there with IDOT. Pay up 10 and 11, it's a little over $84,000. We do not owe the contractor that money. IDOT will pay them, and then they bill us for our percentage. Our percentage is 20%, and because we should already be paid for on lighting based on the line items for those pay apps, which were included in the packet. The most recent one was. But if it is non-grant eligible, we owe 100%. Based on the two pay apps, I think everything's covered by the grant yet. So
So, to my
it could
question,
be 20,000, it could be 60,000, I don't know. It's not gonna probably be billed to us before the end of this fiscal
so to
year.
my question to you the other day when I was in the office, did you decide to email them or not on when all this was gonna be final on what we owed and everything? Because you said there's one more round of it, right?
I do not know. I don't know if this was the last pay up or not for the contractor. I emailed, and it's on my follow-up list because I've had no response.
Okay. Cause I just be
So I'll try
curious
to,
to
Monday
see
I'll try to call Jason.
if there's
at
anything else
Fairground.
lagging that we're responsible for that should be paid out, and then we figure out what, or they figure out what we owe, I guess is the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, this last pay app left Ottawa this week, so it went downstate. Now we're waiting for the state to review and do their piece.
That's the 20,500.
Yeah,
Yeah, Richard, my question was, when they saw that, how many more rounds of this are we going to pay off what was done uptown?
This is theoretically the final, right?
No,
No,
No.
no,
Well, they're estimating it at 77,000 too.
but you won't know until they get billed.
that was Gen Math, so it might not be
That's-
accurate. That's where it's anywhere from 20,000 to God knows what. I just I don't know because I don't know if that's the last pay
The
app.
gift that keeps on giving.
And I don't know if everything's covered by the grant. Looking at this pay app, it should be, well, no, that's not true. There was one charge on here for railing repair that may not be covered by the grant because it was a go-back item. So,
Okay, but the 77,000 estimating remaining owed by village, that's your high-end number?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, she's,
Maybe.
I hope so.
Maybe.
My low-end number right now is at around 20,000.
So my
And
question
that's
was,
based on what I'm looking at on paper right now.
my question was to Jen when I was in the office, I don't, Tuesday? Was that when I picked that packet up? How do we know how many more rounds are left? And how do we know what we owe?
I can answer that. We don't.
Thank you. So Jen was gonna shoot an email to him. And apparently she got no response on where we're at, how much is owed, and then possibly could you enlighten us on what we may owe?
Yeah, that's something that I would, before we approve any more of these, outgoing expenses, I kinda wanna know what can we get what the total is.
Well, according to my previous email after Pay Up 10 last fall, Fair Graham responded and said the village is gonna owe this much money, 600 and some $1,000. But we've already paid 500,000 to IDOT, so that's not right. So that's where they don't know, and I don't know.
So then my other question was, because they billed for gravel and asphalt, could we use any money out of the motor fuel tax? And the answer was no, because it was done under a grant.
Yeah.
So we got locked up on that too. So, to Frank's point, we don't know what we owe. Nobody can tell us what we owe until we get the bill.
so we sent IDOT January of last year, $266,000.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yes. So, oh, there it is, 545 paid to date, 606 was the estimated total Fair Graham told me the village would owe. But I don't know if that's a true number or not. If it is, we only owe $60,000 total yet.
Only.
Including the 20?
No, that's.
Total.
Total.
We'd owe 60,000 based on those numbers.
Before we close out this meeting, do we have a debt reduction fund? Or is that?
It's on the fund summary report every meeting.
Okay. How much money is in that fund?
And what is that tied to, the water bill?
It's tied to the debt reduction fee.
Yep, and that's what we're paying back our loans off of, is the debt reduction fund.
I don't get a water, I don't get a water bill, so I don't know, I don't see it.
You don't care.
I get a garbage bill, I don't get a water bill.
Yeah, as of February 28th, debt reduction has a little over 86,000 in it.
Okay.
And then like the mower leases, we're paying out of capital improvement, and that has about 90,000. We're paying those off with the money we receive for video gaming machine use. Our portion, that percent we get for that.
What was the lease on those 2 years?
2029 for the
Okay.
John Deere,
No, for the Bobcat.
No, for the Bobcat.
or for the Bobcat, sorry. Both of them are 2025 through 2029.
And
Okay.
the skid steer is the same.
Same time frame.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we have two different leases we're paying
That's
off.
fine, we know those are covered, I'm not worried about that.
And debt reductions covering,
We got about 80,000 a year in payments
coming out of debt reduction.
for,
Equipment.
no, not for equipment, for the uptown,
IEPA loans.
the EPA loans we have, we've got 2 of them. We haven't
So
borrowed
the-
anything for the,
by my numbers as well, we're also, the debt reduction fund, it's also at a deficit. So that number's
We
gonna,
bring in a little over about 83,000 a year
yeah,
on my spread, on my
at about
quarterly.
96, something like that goes out.
80.
Only 80?
That was in.
the two payments are on where the debt
that was in that sheet.
reduction fund covers.
We have two IEPA loans, right?
Yes,
Yes,
And one is
No.
13,569 a quarter, and the other one.
year,
here it is.
that's yearly.
Okay, I'm a little confused about how these expenses.
So there was
are
page, for the IEPA loans? Or what's your question on the sheet you just had?
So we have listed expenses, one of the expenses is the IEPA loans, and,
So in that quarter,
s-
that's how much we paid. And we paid
Okay.
that twice. We pay
We're
each
paying that
loan twice a
biannually.
year.
okay,
So 1 month we pay well 6, the next month we pay Shabbona Road. Next quarter, and then third quarter we pay well 6 again, and fourth quarter we pay Shabbona Road again.
One payment is interest and one payment is principal.
2 payments per loan a year.
okay, the number adds up to 96,000. So, I'm a little confused why that doesn't match up with the other.
Can you calculate those two numbers together?
We're running a deficit of 10,000 a year on that. Is that what you're saying?
If I'm right, that's about 12,000, 11, I don't know which one of these numbers.
You are correct. 96,420 per year for the
I knew
IEPA
you bring
loans.
your lunch.
So yes, we're running about 10,000 deficit on annual debt reduction income.
Okay. But we do have a balance in the debt reduction fund of 80,000.
Right.
All right, I'm satisfied with that.
So our next payments aren't until the new fiscal year, so there's no more money coming out this year from debt reduction for
Okay.
loans.
And we only have one more quarter going in though. Correct. So we got one more quarter of debt reduction money going in.
Cause utility bills would be.
Yes.
Utility bills, we have one
Our
more.
billing out,
So I think we'll be around 100,000 in the debt reduction fund.
Okay.
yeah, the month of April bills that go out the first part of April, that money for bills paid by the 30th of April will be in the current fiscal year for debt reduction.
Would you bring for lunch? Huh?
So would that mean technically our month of April this fiscal year is banking into our loan payments that'll be paid next fiscal year?
Alrighty,
Anything else?
I've got nothing.
Alright, motion to adjourn?
I second that. All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Aye.
You're late.